It's a global pandemic which has caused a wave of fear. And tonight, coronavirus is about to have the biggest impact yet on how we live our lives.
Mass public gatherings have been banned from Monday, including major sports events. We have reporters standing by with the very latest. Harvey Biggs begins our coverage.
Now's the time South Australians flock in their thousands to public events, but coronavirus has changed all that. From Monday, there'll be no big events to flock to. The Prime Minister, after meeting with state leaders, making this drastic announcement.
We moved to a position by Monday where we will be advising against organised, non-essential gatherings of persons of 500 people or greater from Monday.
Our leaders had little choice because this man, our nation's chief medical officer, had told them it had to be done and quickly.
The way in which it can be spread more rapidly is in very large events. You might only have one or two people at a very large event who might be carrying the virus, and the chances of it being spread at those large events accelerates the rate of progression of this virus.
The PM forced to defend his decision to make the ban from Monday rather than straight away.
Right now, there is not that great risk, there is not that immediate threat, but these are things that will be scaled up in the weeks ahead.
One of the most immediate impacts here in Adelaide will be on footy fans. The AFL silent so far this afternoon, but its boss flagged only days ago games could be played with no fans in stadiums. A delay to the start of the season also possible.
We're preparing as best we can for round one to start. As of this morning, I think that's become less likely than likely.
Already, various weekend junior and school sports have been cancelled. The Surf Lifesaving Championships also called off. Australia to resemble other nations where this has already happened, the beginning of a new way of life for us, for now. Some events will happen this weekend before the ban's in force. The popular Nitro Circus event at Adelaide Oval tomorrow night likely to happen. Both festival and fringe bosses confirming their shows will also go on.
We're right at the end of the festival. It just means we finish the festival and the ban comes in place the day after we finish. If people stay away at their own choice, that's their own choice. And obviously the government also is advising that anyone who feels unwell should be staying away.
But there was this weekend word of caution from South Australia's Chief Public Health Officer.
There's more than the fringe. There are other events that may be being organised, and I need to look at all of those. If that means that I have to come and make another public announcement, I will certainly do so.
The Premier is tonight flying back from Sydney. He has called for a cabinet meeting tomorrow morning where ministers will discuss the implications of today's developments, including if some events this weekend should be called off. Kate?
Thank you, Harvey. A student is among 4 new cases to be confirmed today, pushing South Australia into the next phase of its coronavirus battle. The first human-to-human transmission of particular concern for health authorities.
4 more confirmed cases of coronavirus in South Australia as the battle to limit its spread enters a new phase. A student from Sacred Heart College's Somerton Park campus testing positive, contracting the virus from his mother in the state's first human-to-human transmission.
The clock is ticking and South Australia is very committed to be working through this and going as much as we can to protect the health of our population.
The positive result coming at the end of the school day. Parents picking up their children, desperate for information.
It's Sarah here. Hi. Just ringing up to find out what's happening. I've just heard on the news about the coronavirus and the isolation situation.
SA Health says the student was in close contact with others in 2 classrooms, and all students and teachers in those classes will now be tested for the virus and isolated for 14 days.
I wonder how far it's kind of like spread, because I mean, I got my brother there, I got friends there, my cousins are still here, so I don't know, I'm just kind of worried like if we're all kind of going to get it.
The other 3 new cases are all overseas travellers. They are a man aged in his 60s and a woman aged in her 50s, both returning from the US, and a man aged in his 50s who's just come back from Europe. The total number of positive tests in South Australia is now 16, 9 of which have been confirmed in the past 3 days, including an ASC staffer working at the Osborne site, part of which was closed down. There are now more than 5 5,000 people in the state who have been tested. Health authorities looking to keep some people who have the virus at home rather than hospital to ease pressure on the system.
It's important that we look at other ways of or other models of care for people in this situation, and I'm working with my team in SA Health to try and have some of these more recently diagnosed cases being cared for in a home situation.
Some of those in isolation are receiving mixed messages. Rebecca Whitaker and her daughter arriving back from Rome to learn they were on a flight with 2 of South Australia's confirmed cases.
I feel fine, my daughter's fine. So at the moment we're just stuck at home, bored. We probably should have tested us before we got on the flights from Rome and maybe given us the results, and if someone did have it, isolate the whole plane.
Each day, the advice and alerts are changing, making it an anxious time for those still waiting on results, including South Australian international cricketer Kane Richardson, who was tested today interstate.
It is evolving. Things are changing from day to day.
Sacred Heart College has just responded, saying it will take every precaution necessary to ensure the health and safety of both its staff and its students. We know the school will be cleaned across the weekend. It's expected to open on Monday for all students, except those in isolation.
Thank you, Lucy. And the growing threat has forced the Education Minister to take the unprecedented step of warning parents and students that more schools could be shut down. Tom Angley, what will happen at schools where there's a positive coronavirus test result?
Well, Brenton, parents only learned this morning that if there is that positive results, then schools will shut down for at least 24 hours. Now, classes will run as usual unless there is a positive test, and that will spark a site shutdown with those at risk identified and the school thoroughly cleaned, only opening when experts give it the all clear. Other steps taken by the government include a ban on large school assemblies, overseas school excursions postponed until the end of term 2, and students, they're encouraged to stay home until their symptoms clear up. The Education Minister says the mass gathering ban does not apply to schools, but parents are being warned for a sudden shutdown of their child's school if needed.
People need to understand, and I think people do understand, that the health of their child, the health of our community has to be prioritised.
It will affect my life and my husband's life and everyone's life as well.
I think we'll definitely see more cases, and we should be concerned and be prepared.
If there's a lot of people who are exposed, then obviously things need to close.
The state government has called on employers to show flexibility to working mums and dads who may be affected if their child's school is shut down. Kate?
Thanks, Tom.